Hey y'all, it's Necey Dixon. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. If you are new here, welcome. If you are returning, y'all, welcome back. Okay. First of all, let me say hey faves. Okay. All of y'all who actually tune in, like when y'all be sitting there waiting on the live, when y'all have your notification bells turned on, hey faves. Okay. So hey faves, how are y'all doing today? And like I always like to say, I like to have a mini conversation with y'all because at this point we're friends, okay? And while we give everybody time to get into the room, let me give y'all a little update. So, what, 2 days ago in Dallas, it was almost 70 degrees, y'all. It was almost 70 degrees. Tell me why it is, hold on, let me see. It is 23 degrees outside. It snowed last night. It froze over. I've been stuck in the house because I don't want to drive on ice. And yeah. Uh-huh. So I've had nothing to do besides catch up on Married at First Sight. Okay. So I watched the actual episode, the 2 hours. I watched it last night. I watched it again today. And then I watched the after show. Okay. I watched the after show. So I hope that y'all got a chance to watch the episode because it's always more fun when I get to hear y'all's opinions. And y'all, I don't know who is the bigger clown when it comes to this season. Like, I am full of joy, okay? I hate to say it. I'm full of joy when it comes to the Karen clownery this season because generally I feel like our clowns of every single season lately, okay, I've been watching consistently probably since they were in Dallas, probably since the Dallas season. And majority of the time since then, the biggest clown has always been a Chris, a Miss Brandon, a Michael. The biggest clown has always been a man. A lot of times the black men are clowns because Pastor Cal says it is hard to cast black men who are actually normal, who want to date black women. So majority of the time, the clowns are black men. But I think we need to give credit where it's due, and we need to talk about the clownery that is Alyssa. And we need to talk about the clownery that is Lindsey. Okay. We knew Lindsey was going to be a fool. I told y'all I wasn't surprised by Alyssa's behavior at all. And even though Olajuwon, because y'all was killing me last week because I kept saying Olajuwon. Y'all was like, no, it's Olajuwon. I get it, y'all. I talk fast. And when I talk fast, sometimes the words just, okay. So even though I'm disgusted by Olajuwon, I want to talk about the clownery that's Alyssa and Lindsey. So for those of you who have gone ahead and joined the chat, gone ahead, said hello, paid your dues by liking and subscribing because as y'all know, we're on the road to 10,000. Y'all let me know in the chat right now, who is the clown so far? Okay. I'm giving y'all three options. The biggest clown, it's between Olajuwon, Alyssa, and Lindsey. I want to know who y'all think is the biggest clown because it's actually been a struggle for me to figure out who I feel like is the biggest clown. And I'm going to tell y'all the reason why I almost don't want to say Olajuwon is because Olajuwon, he's a clown in the way to where he doesn't know any better. Okay. I don't feel like he's very sneaky, very slick. I think he is just very honest and lightweight dumb. Okay. So I ain't going to put too much on Olajuwon right now, but I see a lot of y'all feel as though the clown is Alyssa. TT says Lindsey and Alyssa both, but I'm overwhelmingly seeing Alyssa. Alyssa takes the cake if she does. Okay. HFG, yes, it is a hard one. I'm definitely going to have to go with Alyssa because Alyssa, y'all know what? For better definition, if we want to change the name, Alyssa is the ass of the season. So let's just say that. Let's just add clarity to it, okay? Alyssa is the ass of the season. The clown of the season, in my opinion, next goes to Lindsey. Definitely. Monique, okay? She says Alyssa in her 4 chins. And y'all, I hate getting on here doing these reviews and talking about people's bodies, but just the way that Alyssa has came on this show and really like down talked her husband, or even has moved with so much disgustingness, repulsiveness for her husband, it is really sad to see. Like, you have to come on there looking like Beyonce, okay? Beyonce, you have to come on there looking like Beyonce, not Luther Vandross, okay? That's old to Tiffany Pollard. But what I'm saying is, you can't hop on the show and act like, you are that girl. So much so that you can pick this man apart because he a little bit out of shape, okay? So I've been looking for one single chin. I have yet to find one, okay? It's always been multiple. Alyssa, you're not that girl. I'm sorry. You're average at best. But what I feel, what we're seeing is entitlement, okay? And I don't know nothing about this girl's life, but what I always have to compare things against are stereotypical traits. When you see the stereotypical traits, you have to say, this sounds consistent with Karen-like behavior, okay? Karen-like behavior, you grow up in the household, you make your way by going to school, you become an average looking Karen, you think that you're going to get your average looking Ken, and you feel like that's what you deserve, nothing less. But I feel like as people get older, as people get more mature, as people start to navigate the world, you start to realize that you won't get everything on your list, and you're going to have to take a flaw here or there. And I do feel like she's very spoiled. But what's interesting to me is Alyssa's mom doesn't have that same energy. I hope y'all follow me on Twitter, okay? Because when I have time to watch the episode, when it's actually live, I live tweet. And last night, when Alyssa was on that day, I said, Alyssa, you should have listened to your motherfucking mama. You should listen to your mama, okay? Your mama was right. I was not even about to go in on you on Twitter, Alyssa, because I was going to allow the internet to have your multi-chinned ass, okay? I was not going to go in on you because you've already done the job of making yourself look very clown-like, very clown-like. So y'all, we have 86 people in here. I'm so glad that a lot of y'all have went ahead and watched the episode so we can go ahead and get into the details, okay? So as you arrive, right after I play this like the video button, I hope you like and subscribe. We are about to jump directly into the episode. So go ahead and like the video. All right, y'all. So we are about to talk about the couples in 2 parts. The reason why I want to talk about the couples in 2 parts is because there was obviously a group scene where everybody got together. So let's start out talking about Lindsey and Mark. Now, Mark, I was hoping that there was going to be a time for you to actually put your foot down. So at this point in the season, y'all, can y'all believe we on episode, I think that was 5 last night? I literally would have thought we were on like episode 2 or 3 because nothing happened in the other episodes. I say this every season, but last night I was like, damn, that was episode 5. Okay, Mark, I have been waiting for you to put that foot down, okay? And I'm glad to see that you're doing it. And throughout Lindsey's clownness, there was a point that she made in the last argument. And we're going to get to that once we talk about part 2, Lindsey and Mark. But let's go ahead and talk about part 1. So part 1, Lindsey and Mark, they're waking up in the hotel room. They're talking to the confessional, and the confessional person's like, hey, so have y'all consummated the marriage? And Lindsey just gives this, she just gives this very boisterous, annoying ass cackle, to where we can all assume that the answer is yes. Lindsey and Mark have laid up. Not surprised at all. Good for y'all. But I feel like this is probably where you messed up, Mark. You shouldn't have had sex with that lady. You shouldn't have had sex with that girl this far. You shouldn't have, I mean, not this far, this soon, okay? Because I feel like Mark knew from jump that her personality was too much. So the minute that you acted like you were on the same page as her, you know, and then you said you weren't on the same page as her, it's like, she kind of had a point with her wild ass. She kind of had a point with her clown ass. She kind of did. So that's where I will hold you accountable. So next, y'all, they leave the hotel room and they don't leave yet. Let's talk about the conversation that they have in the hotel room. Lindsey and Mark are getting ready to start their day, and they start talking about drinking. They're going to go pina colada tasting, and Mark is warning her, like, yeah, I want to have fun. I want to go out for a drink, but let's not have a repeat of the Olajuwon situation where she was on the plane. This is where Mark reveals to us that this lady done drank 3 bottles of wine on an airplane. I want y'all to remember this, okay? Because even though Lindsey seems to be the more cool, calm, collected Karen versus the uptight clown Karen like Alyssa, she's still a Karen. And I'm about to tell y'all why. So Mark reveals to us that Alyssa had 3 bottles of wine. Not shocking, because she drank a couple bottles of champagne on the way to the damn wedding, okay? So I'm like, wow, that's concerning. And that also tells us why she got into an argument with Olajuwon on the bus. It's hard for me, on one hand, y'all, when it comes to that argument, because last week I didn't do a review of Married at First Sight. My review was on the Ooh Ladies First panel. But when it comes to the argument on the bus, Olajuwon had a lot to say about the argument for a man, in my opinion. So I partially wondered, like, was he doing too much? But then I had to look at how all of the men reacted and used their temperaments as validation for, okay, maybe it was Lindsey doing the most. So it absolutely was, once we saw that Mark came to Olajuwon and apologized. Even furthermore, that's where he tells us that this woman had 3 bottles of wine on a plane. Number one, I don't know why you would even do that on a plane. With the turbulence and everything else, I probably would have about passed out and threw up. So she is a professional drinker, y'all. So they move on. Lindsey kind of laughs off the whole situation, and they move on to the pina colada tasting. This is where they start having conversations about each other's dating histories. For some reason, y'all let me know if y'all were thinking the same thing as me. But whenever Mark asked Lindsey about her dating history, I thought she was going to give a little insight into being left at the altar, and not necessarily at the physical altar. But you remember when we first met her, she told us that her fiance called off the wedding and broke up with her 5 days before the wedding. So as soon as he opened up the conversation to dating history, I was like, okay, good. We about to get into it. We about to find out why this man left you. But no, she just ends up telling Mark that she has an extensive history of dating engineers. Okay, girl, what are we supposed to do with that? Okay, I do know that typically engineers seem to be very quiet, very reserved, very smart and nerdy. So maybe that's why you always end up dating engineers, because you're the complete opposite of them. But that's not telling me nothing about your dating history. So then Mark, he talks a little bit more about his dating history, and he says that his first love, I think he said they were in college or after college, can't remember, but this was his first love. He said that she drank a lot. And in his history of dating, he's always seemed to end up being the breath of fresh air for these women, okay? That was Mark's proper way of saying, save a hoe. Okay. In my opinion. And I'm not saying these women got to be hoes, but what I'm saying is Mark, it seem like Mark always goes for women who are the hot messes. And then whenever he dates them, they're like, oh my gosh, you're so nice. Oh my gosh, I didn't expect this. And it never works out. So Lindsey, she's so hard eyes, so in love. She's like, you know what? It sounds like you never put yourself first in relationships. And even though you typically give to others, I want to make sure that you're taken care of in this relationship. And I was like, oh, okay, that's cute. It was definitely giving that they were going to be on the same page. Okay. It definitely was given that they were going to be on the same page because even though Lindsey is wild, and even though Lindsey is irritating, I definitely see why it came as a blind side to her that Mark wanted to slow down because up until this point, yes, Danielle, Mark is Mr. Nice Guy. Mark has been nice this entire time, and you haven't been honest with her about her doing the damn fool. Okay. So she's probably like, what? Like, I thought I finally found somebody who loved all of me, who loved all this craziness. But we're going to get to that part. Okay. So we'll get to talk about Lindsey and Mark part 2 in a hot second. But let's move on to Jasmina and Michael. So if y'all were following me on Twitter last night, y'all would have seen when the episode first started out, for some reason, I felt like Jasmina was going to be the issue in this relationship. But number one, if y'all go back to my first Married at Sight review, Married at First Sight, initially I thought Michael was going to be the problem. And then once they showed Jasmina and Michael have their first disagreement over, no, I don't really go into things thinking the worst. And you could tell that Jasmina was handling Michael under an assumption from what she had been told, okay? And y'all, low key is similar to the way that Alyssa handled Chris, but it was just, the grain of salt version. Alyssa heard that Chris was an asshole, and then she blew that out of proportion. Jasmina heard one time that Michael thinks the worst of everything, and then I felt like she handled him thinking negatively the entire time. Yes, HFG, I felt like both of them were being negative thinkers. So, y'all, it's been pretty awkward since their last disagreement. They wake up in the bed the next day, Jasmina with her headscarf on again. I'm so glad. Katina has 30 inches of wig, okay? Because that's a closure. I know my closures. She got 30 inches of wig, and you are waking up in the bed without your scarf on. So I just have to call that out for Jasmina for waking up with her scarf on, giving you real. So anyway, it's awkward. The next morning, Michael addresses his feelings of, distance between him and Jasmina. He's like, I kind of want to nip this in the butt ahead of time, but I feel like there's some sort of distance between us ever since the wedding. And she's already irritated by him communicating with her. The reason why I felt some type of way about this is because given Michael's history and given what he told us in the first episode, where he tries to find negative things about women, how he is emotionally unavailable, I was actually very proud of him for communicating with her and telling her, hey, I feel like there's distance. I don't want it to be awkward. And I don't think he lied. I think he was absolutely right. The first disagreement they got into, Jasmina all of a sudden put up a wall around her. So I don't think Michael was exaggerating when it came to this, but she wanted to treat him based off of what his sister told him, which was that he was a negative thinker. And she always seems to be irritated by him. So he was like, I don't know. Tell me, is it one-sided? Am I tripping? And she was like, it's definitely one-sided. So I'm just like, okay. Then we break over to confessional, and that's where Jasmina says that she remembers his sister saying that he thinks a lot of negative things and he stays in his head all of the time. Now, y'all, I really wish that y'all stop operating off of what family and friends tell you. Use that as a grain of salt. Proceed as normal. Give this man an opportunity to figure out what he is about. We also learned in the first episode that he typically doesn't communicate. He just gives up on relationships. So if you would have judged him based off of what he told us before, that would have been a bad situation. It's just, you're just as negative as him. Okay. And that's why I don't think that these two should have been paired together, because both of them have went through different types of trauma. Michael, when it comes to death, Jasmina, when it comes to abandonment, which she doesn't really talk about very often. But I'm just like, how is this going to? And then Jasmina also has a type of personality where you literally can't tell her a damn thing. You literally cannot tell her 2 + 2 = 4. She's going to say, no, 1 × 4 is 4. I'm just like, I don't know. I don't know. It's kind of irritating to see their interactions. I'm just like, come on. So anyway, once we go from that, we'll move on to another couple, because we're going to get back to them and talk about their interactions for part 2. So let's talk a little bit about Noi and Steve. Y'all, the whole theme of what Noi and Steve had going on this episode was the theme of love, the theme of Noi falling for men faster than they fall for her. And I'm not surprised by this at all. When we first met her, she told us that, I think she was broken up with twice. And the whole reason why she ended up in Boston was because she went through a breakup and decided to move away just to start over. So she was definitely giving the type of person that's always in love with love. Thank you, HFG, for the super sticker. You see, I'm saying your name slower now, okay? Because I have to give myself a pat on the back. Usually when I be trying to say your name, I'll be like, look, and it's only 3 letters. So thank you for the super chat. But Noi is definitely giving the type of person that's in love with love. And I know a lot of y'all don't be doing zodiac signs, but I want to know, what is Noi's zodiac sign? Married at First Sight, if you're watching this, can you drop that information on the social media? Okay, thanks. So y'all, yes, let's talk about unemployment. Let's talk about Noi in unemployment, okay? He threw me for a loop this episode, y'all, because when he kept talking about meetings, I don't have a meeting now. I was like, meeting? Maybe he is a freelancer. But no, this man was talking about going number 2, a meeting with the toilet. So we find out that they have not had sex yet, but Noi says she wouldn't be surprised if it happens soon. They talk about each of them wanting to go camping. Steve is very adventurous, outdoorsy. Obviously, he lives in his car. He's very much gasoline as a bill and not very much mortgage or rent. And he wants to go camping on the beach. Noi is like, no, that's not really my thing. And he's like, why not? And she was like, because I like to have a shower and a toilet. And Steve is like, but they have those things. And Steve, I understand that there's a disconnect for you as to why people wouldn't want their own toilet and shower, because since you willingly live out of your car, you probably are paying Planet Fitnesses $10 a month to go use their bathrooms and their showers. And while that's cool for you, unemployment, everybody is not down to live that lifestyle, okay? So I think you better plan to go glamping with Noi. So the next thing that they talk about, they end up at the beach going on a picnic, and they have conversations. I see y'all talking about zodiac signs. Y'all funny. Y'all said Noi is giving Pisces energy. You know what? I was thinking a little bit more like, Cancer. I was thinking a little more Cancer, but I don't know. Yes. Okay. Yes. There we go, Carrie. Cancer or Gemini, definitely. But I just don't really see a Gemini falling in love the way that she has, but who knows? So anyway, they're at a picnic on the beach, and they start talking about how their relationship is progressing. Like physically, the connection is already there. They're still building the emotional comfortability. And Noi is like, yeah, like you're real comfortable with me because, you've been using the bathroom, you've been going number 2. He's been talking about meetings. So I'm like, oh, does he work? No, he's not talking about working. He's talking about meetings with the toilets. So Noi goes off Noi goes off to talk to her confessional person, and they end up asking her, do you feel like you're falling in love? So she comes back and she tells unemployment, they just asked me, do I feel like I'm falling in love? And she says, I just feel like it's happening slowly. And unemployment is just like, okay, I really appreciate that, but it's been 3 days since the wedding, and I think it's just hard to tell. We need to figure out who we are authentically before I'm there. And you know what, unemployment, I'm not mad at you at all. Okay. I think he handled this perfectly. I think he was 100% transparent with her. Whenever she first told him about it, he said, I appreciate you telling me this, but it's been 3 days. And honestly, girl, you might want to pump the brakes. Okay. Love don't pay the bills. Okay. This man don't work, so he can't pay the bills. So I think you're going to figure out who he is authentically before you decide if you want to be in love. I think some of these people, it is just beyond me. People don't realize that marriage is a business. Okay. I've heard people say it before. And a couple years ago, I was like, why are people saying that? That is so just like untasteful, unromantic. But no, literally, marriage is a business. Love don't pay the bills. That's what they mean by that. So for them, the experts, to match you up with this man just based off of your future name being Noi Moy, that was irresponsible as hell. Okay. When Tay talks, she says, I think Noi will take him with or without a job. I don't think so. I don't think she will. I think she's just okay with it for now. The reason why I'm saying I don't think that she'll take him without a job is because I was watching the after show. I think it was probably like 2 episodes ago. And he was talking about maybe he'll get a job eventually. She started laughing and shaking her head. And as badly as she wants a family, I don't think that she would accept having a partner and thinking about the possibility of having to raise your kids out of a van by choice. Okay. Because I understand people have to do that every day who live in poverty, but by choice, I don't know about it. Okay. I don't think that Steve really has kids on the forefront of his mind like he wants to act. So let us move on. Like I said, we'll get back to them. Let's move on from them to Olajuwon. This man, okay, he got the thumbnail. He got the thumbnail this episode because when I was watching this man on the boat, and we're going to get to that whenever we get to part 2, I sat there and I was like, I am disgusted. In my Erica Dixon voice, I was disgusted. So Olajuwon, he wakes up in the morning next to Katina without her silk scarf on, her satin pillow, and her 30-inch wig. I'm like, sis, put that silk scarf on, okay? Or hang that wig up on the doorknob before you go to sleep, because that's what I do. So anyway, he wakes up and he's like, she smiles every time she looks at me, and I don't think she knows it, but she smiles every time she looks at me. And the reason why it's hilarious is because I feel like Olajuwon genuinely feels this way. And what I feel like we're seeing with Olajuwon is reformed fuckboy. Okay. I feel like a lot of fuckboys eventually end up meeting their match. And I feel like his match is going to be Katina. I feel like before, when he was Isaac, he probably always had a wall up, probably was the type of man that was like, I'm going to hurt you before you hurt me. And he feels like because he has a ring on his finger, he feels like because he has the safeguards of marriage, that he can finally be a simp. He can finally be sensitive. He can finally be loving. And I feel like it just all feels like too much because he's probably been holding it in like his whole life. He's probably always wanted to be this lame, falling in love type of clown, roses in bed type of guy. But he probably was always in protection mode. And I feel like that's why he's always talking about, but you're my wife. I'm your husband. And while all that is true, Olajuwon, you still don't know her like that. Okay. So yes, he cries a lot. He does cry a lot. He's emotional. And I feel like he's so overly emotional because he's probably been holding it in this entire time. And I just have to say, Katina's ability to try to stay logical with Olajuwon, I'm actually impressed by. I'm actually impressed by her ability to not just fall for all his tactics and, fall off all in. And I think that's what's probably making Olajuwon work harder than what he has done in the past, because there's probably other simple-minded females that see his little 8-pack or whatever, stripper body, and they're just like, oh my gosh, I love him so much. And then eventually it kind of runs out for him. I don't think that he's going to run out of love for Katina. And Jasmine, I have to agree with you. Very, very low key. I think that they might make it for real. I really do feel like they might make it, because there's a huge difference between the way that we see Olajuwon when it's him and Katina versus him and everyone else. And she knows that because she addressed that. So anyway, they talk about cuddling. He sweats a lot, so he's not really a cuddler. And I guess that's alluding to them not really having sex. They just cuddle. So he ends up taking her to the gym. They go to the gym, and this scene like really annoyed the hell out of me. He showed up in the gym trying to show out, trying to make her feel like he was really doing something. And this is why everybody can't work out with their partners in the gym. I have a friend like this, and a guy friend. He would be like, yeah, let's go to the gym, let's work out. And intentionally, he would do shit that he didn't do on a regular day in the gym by himself, just to try to show out. And I'm just like, how fucking lame. How lame. And that's what Olajuwon was giving. We later find out in the episode that he was acting like an asshole on purpose. He says, yeah, I did it because I wanted to test her. I wanted her to speak up. And yes, Sasha, it's giving Leo 100%. It's giving Leo. Absolutely. He tells everyone that he wanted to test her, and that's why he was acting like an asshole in the gym. I'm glad Katina spoke up, but just to hear that this man was processing tests in his head allows me to know that even though you want to act like Isaac isn't there, Isaac is still very much there. We just have a more sensitive simp version of Isaac, which you were withholding from women in your past because you didn't want to get hurt. So he's like, this is my element. Respect this. Boy, if you don't get your meat headed, boy, no, I would have been done. So let's hop into the clown / ass, which is Alyssa. So we see them on the beach, and she finally does an activity with him. They go wakeboarding. And I'm like, okay, cool. It looks like they're having a little bit of friendly energy. And I'm like, okay, cool. Chris is looking like a klutz. He's not athletic at all. He does a little beanbag toss or whatever game he plays. But they sit down on the beach after the activity. And when they do, I'm like, okay, maybe this is getting a little bit better. Alyssa says, Chris apologizes. Let's talk about Chris first. Chris apologizes to Alyssa for telling her about herself. And honestly, Chris is smart. Chris is very aware. I think Chris knows that nothing that has gone on so far is his fault. But I felt like he thought that they were taking a step forward. So he felt like by Alyssa going wakeboarding with him, that was one step in the right direction. So he thought he could take another step in the right direction by apologizing just to make her feel comfortable. And I know that's what that was about, because Chris, you know that this woman is an asshole. Okay, period. You know that. And when you told her about herself and told her that she was mad that she wasn't matched with the perfect person, you were right. You knew that. So Chris apologizes. And Alyssa's like, yeah, it's fine. I think we should just make the most of the time that we had. And we just know that the experts didn't match us right. And then you see Chris's face kind of go like, I know this heifer just didn't. I know she just did not. Like, because he thought that it was going to be something different than what it was. He thought that by her participating in the activity, by him apologizing, that they were finally going to take the step in the right direction of just being friends, period. I really feel like that's what he was thinking. And then she ends up being an asshole and saying, no, they just didn't match us right. Like, No way. I know I just went wakeboarding with you, but you're not my type. So he starts talking to her about why do you think that this isn't it? And she says, well, I went to go see a psychic, and the psychic had everything on point. He went into what my match looked like, and they said that he had an eagle tattoo. Girl, I'm about to knock this whole damn desk over. Girl, if you don't get your multi-chin ass. This girl said that her soulmate had an eagle tattoo. Now, if the psychic was correct, I feel like you have messed things up. Now, I done seen enough movies at this point, y'all. Enough time travel movies, enough psychic type movies where if you try to make the future happen or if you try to change the future, things never go as they are supposed to, opposed to if you just allow things to be. So what I want to know is, why the hell did you come on the show for the experts to match you if all you had to do was go to a damn bar and look for a man with an eagle tattoo with your multi-chin ass? Girl, she was wasting everybody's time. Thank you so much, Rachel. I wonder if you saw me hesitate because I couldn't remember if she said lion tattoo or eagle tattoo. And this explains it because she said both. So Rachel says the real tea is that she changed it from a lion tattoo to an eagle tattoo, which unemployment has to have. I'm just like, you are so fucking whack, Alyssa. You really are. And something about Alyssa is giving jealousy, especially when it comes to the other women. You can tell by the way that she moves. I feel like she wishes that she would have had any other man that was there outside of Chris. She's also mad because she has the Karen entitlement. She also feels like she's probably the best looking white woman there between her and Lindsey because she can't stand Lindsey. And she's like, are you serious? Like, this is what I have? This is what I have? Because she thinks she's that girl. This is why. Oh, another thing. Okay. We're going to get into this once we get into part 2. But I'm upset with the show. Upset like hell. Because typically this character is played by a male asshole. But this season, we're seeing this character fulfilled by a female asshole. And the way that the show is catering to this Karen is disgusting. Why are you getting your own room on a honeymoon? Sleep your ass on that couch if you so repulsed to lay next to this man. Okay? Why are you going on activities if you don't want to be in a body of water next to this man, as if this man is going to, suddenly make a move on you in the water, even though you act like you're repulsed by him, even though you act like every single second you get a chance to remind him that you're disgusted of him, you do it. So the fact that this show is catering to you and your whininess, your entitlement is so Karen-like, opposed to what we see them treat the men like. We've seen even white assholes. Let me not even just talk about the black ones. Y'all remember that basketball player from a couple seasons ago? He was matched with that girl that was a twin. He cheated on her repeatedly. He didn't even attend all the activities. The show didn't cater to him like that. We saw Zach and Mindy a couple seasons ago. The show did not cater to him like that. We are seeing her being catered to because she's a white female. And this is the reason why we get the multi-chin asshole that we have today. Okay? Alyssa, I don't know you personally. Okay? So if you watch this review, all I have to say is you should have listened to your damn mama. Okay? Because I'm just judging you based off of what I've seen. We've seen 5 episodes. I don't know, probably 3 hours of airtime so far of you, maybe more or less. But you should have listened to your mama because you came on here looking bad. And I feel like there's some sort of disconnect because from what your mom acts like, it doesn't seem like you were raised that way. Maybe you were. Whatever. So, y'all, let's go ahead and talk about this damn group date. I don't have a picture of the group date, so I'm just going to post my social media stuff, okay? Y'all go ahead and follow me. So let's talk about the group date. So Olajuwon he's been hired to, ask people the uncomfortable questions. He's been hired to easily make himself look like more of a clown than he already does because they know that he's going to be comfortable starting conversations that other people don't want to start. So they're all on the boat, and he says, "So, has anyone consummated their marriage yet?" And Lindsey, she gives us a she gives us a laugh, okay? So I guess the answer is yes. We already know that, but that's just her way of telling everybody yes. Her laugh was so cringe that I wish she would have just opened up her mouth and said yes. And she did the opposite of what we typically see a lot of men do. Yes, knock off Gil. They're trying to get him to be Dr. Gil. They are. Usually the men are the ones that's a little bit more, willing to smile, willing to laugh it off. I have a feeling that Mark probably wouldn't have said anything if Lindsey didn't hit the right. So Lindsey's laughing. Next, they get on to Olajuwon. He says, "No, we haven't done it yet." He's super proud of the fact that they haven't done it yet. But what's off-putting about Olajuwon is every time he talks about him and Katina not having sex, he has to talk about how he's moving differently because he's had so much sex in his past. And that's why I feel like the P is going to be weak. I feel like it ain't going to hit like that, but that's for Katina to find out and not me. But just, it's something that's never satisfactory about a man talking about how many bodies he didn't hit, talking about, how sexual he was. And it's like, y'all, everybody is capable of having sex. That doesn't mean that you are a sexual being. That doesn't mean that you're a sexual god. Like, everybody's capable of having sex. Yes, seashells, is little d energy. It's little d energy. That's exactly what it was. So, of course, he says, "No, we're making a connection, but I've done a lot of that in my past," says Isaac. All right, bet. So, now we get to Michael and Jasmina answering the question of have they had sex or not. Remember this, because this is what they get into an argument about later on. Michael says to everybody, "Well, it's only been 3 days. Period." There's a pause. And then Jasmina says, "Well, I'm the type of person who has to have an emotional connection first." Now, I want y'all to note, she didn't cut him off. The only thing that she did that was a little bit off-putting was you could tell she was still very much upset about the awkwardness that they had the night before. So even though it's common for people to say, "I have to have an emotional connection first," it felt like it was a dig at Michael. It felt like it was "I'm not vibing with your ass right now. So regardless of it being 3 days or not, we're not having sex." That's what it was giving. That was just based off energy, but she didn't cut him off. So now, y'all, we see the guys and girls split into different groups, okay? The girls are sitting on one side of the yacht or boat, whatever it is, and they're having conversation. The girls are like, "What's going on with you?" Alyssa is talking about Chris. She says, "Yeah, I think we've just decided to move forward. I think we just decided to go on and do the best that we can in this process." And Lindsey's like, "So are you basically like, what are you saying?" And Alyssa says, "Move on to the next subject." No. What are you saying, sis? If you're saying that y'all, Alyssa was inadvertently saying that she was going to waste 2 hours of my damn time every Wednesday night when they could have had somebody else in there. And what I wish they did was, if you were so repulsed with him at the altar, I wish that they would have replaced your ass and bought somebody else on TV. Like, "Oh, you're not happy? All right, bet. Next, who's his second runner-up to be a match?" She basically told us that they came to some sort of agreement that they would just move on about things as normal and do the best they could. Now, Alyssa, that's not true. That's what you decided to do. You decided to go on a free trip to Puerto Rico. You decided to be on TV for 8 weeks crying, making it seem like this man was a threat to you. Okay, bet. So Lindsey is talking to the women about Mark. Lindsey's just like, "Oh my gosh, I love this man. This man is perfect for me." And she's head over heels for Mark. Now, let's move over to the men. While she's talking about how in love she is with Mark, Mark is telling the men that Lindsey is a lot. He's saying that she's gotten into different confrontations, and if it doesn't change, it's going to be a problem. It's going to be a deal breaker, that he needs things to slow down. So this is probably the first time where I'm like, damn, I didn't know that you weren't feeling her like that. While it's understandable, we have to take a second and think about the perception of things. He's been so nice to her. He's been pacifying her, which is what his friends and her friends and family warned him about. So much so that she was blindsided. So he says it's not what he likes. And I'm like, okay, so it's definitely a disconnect. You need to explain something to her, but you didn't already have sex with the lady. So that's going to be problematic. So now, y'all, I know a lot of y'all are ready to talk about Katina and Lindsey. Katina, sis, Katina, thank you. Thank you. Katina, somebody had to hold Lindsey accountable for the caring energy that she's been giving. Now, like I said, she may be a little more liberal Karen. She may be a little bit more cultured. You're going to speak this language when you're over here. She may be a little bit more free-spirited Karen, but at the end of the day, she's still a Karen. And she played the victim card hardcore. So Noi, she's just being innocent. Nora's just like, I'm so glad that y'all were able to work out the issue, that we're all able to move forward. And that's where Lindsey says, yeah, me too. I was just triggered. I was just triggered because I used to date someone who would drink and then they would end up doing a lot. Okay, y'all, if you didn't watch the episode, but you've been watching this review, at the beginning of the review, and the beginning of the show, Mark told us that Lindsey had 3 bottles of wine on the plane. But you want to talk about triggered? Girl. When she said that, y'all, I fell out, okay? Because you had 3 bottles of wine, which you thought nobody was going to repeat because it wasn't filmed. But you want to hop on the boat and say that you were triggered by Olajuwon. You want to say that Olajuwon was aggressive and cried like he threatened to put hands on you. And let's be real, y'all. The obvious reason why is because you are playing fragile ass white woman. Because Olajuwon is a black man. A man, number one, number two, black. Okay, I don't care if he's half black, half white. She's taking advantage of the simple fact that he's a man. Your ass had 3 bottles of wine and you want to sit here talking about you're triggered because your ex used to drink when you were the one drinking on the plane and being a threat to other people. Bitch, go to sleep, okay? Go to sleep. So Katina gets upset and Katina is really, trying to be patient. She's looking left, she's looking right. She's looking over at Jasmina like, you see, this is shit I'm talking about. She was giving her the black girl confirmation, like, I know you know what's going on, right? So Katina says, you know what? I'm about to be upset by this. So I don't understand why you're saying trigger. You're still trying to play victim. She was like, you're childish. And she ends up walking away. She walks away and Alyssa runs after her. I don't know. Y'all, Alyssa only runs after her because it's been clear as water that Lindsey don't fuck with Alyssa. Alyssa is just trying to draw her line in the sand. Alyssa, you have nothing going on, not even in your relationship. You don't even have a friendship with your husband. I've never seen you get up and run so fast to do anything on this show besides be involved with drama that had to do with Lindsey. So Alyssa walks up after her. She says to Katina, sit on the opposite side of her. Do you think Katina about to put hands on this lady? We don't need your direction for nothing, okay? You and Lindsey are more alike than what you think, okay? So sit there and eat your food. Don't say shit, okay? So they get back, and Katina is telling her, well, listen, I don't care if you were triggered. I don't care what you went through when you were 2, 3, 5, 9, or 10. She said, you're a grown-ass adult. It's your responsibility to get the help you need and to handle your liquor. And I'm just like, absolutely. And Lindsey is like, well, that's rude. That's rude. Katina says, I don't care if it's rude. Jasmina then tries to explain to her, like, hey, you're not a bad person, But I think she's trying to get you to understand that you were the person that caused the situation to get you triggered. So they end up walking away. And Lindsey says, well, obviously they think I'm a bad person. And every time I see Lindsey in these problematic situations, it makes me think about her relationship with her mom. Now, there's two things that are quite possible because I don't know what the issue is with her mom, but whenever she first told us that her mom didn't fool with her, I felt like her mom had to, number one, be mentally ill, or number two, Lindsey had to be the problem. That's what I was thinking because I don't know their history. I don't know any moms that decide to not fuck with their kids. I know some people, some moms do it, okay? Some moms do it. But it was very much giving that Lindsey's dad and brother have pacified her to be an asshole in order to deal with the hurt that she felt of her mom not fooling with her. I feel like that's why Lindsey has no home training. Lindsey doesn't know how to read a room because people have been afraid to correct her on this is how you should operate. This is how you respect people's boundaries. This is how you go places and you don't do too much. Nobody has done that to her because they tend to pacify her. So I'm kind of just like, what's the situation with your mama? Okay. Because even when they explain to her plain as day, you're the person who claimed triggered, and you're the one who caused the issue, she still couldn't comprehend that. And that goes back to the Karen energy. I'm just like, my goodness, somebody has to hold you accountable for something. You act like a kid. She acts like a kid. You've been pacified your entire life to think that I'm just wild and free and everyone should accept me. And if they don't, then I'm just a victim and I don't understand why people treat me this way. Girl, goodbye. Okay. So next, y'all, all the couples end up meeting back up. When they end up meeting back up in the boat, Lindsey walks up to Mark and was like, Katina just did this to me, and Katina did that, and Katina da. And at this point in time, Mark is just really annoyed. He knows that his wife is the problem, and he doesn't pacify her as much as he has done in the past. So they move on from that and they start discussing Never Have I Ever. This is what we got to get the damn clown mask ready for. This is when Olajuwon definitely showed his ass. And this man don't know any better. He really doesn't. Olajuwon ends up asking everyone, let's play a game of Never Have You Ever. So as they play, you know, they did this the past 2 seasons. 2 things come to light. Have you ever cheated? Steve put a finger down, but Noi also put a finger down. And for some reason, Noi felt a way about Steve having had cheated before. But I was looking, I was like, I know damn well she just put her finger down too. Next, they're trying to think of a final question to ask. Olajuwon's like, let's think of a question to ask. And everybody's like, oh, I can't really think of one. So I always judge people. I don't know if y'all ever played Never Have I Ever before, but I'm judging you if you get into a room of people. The tactic of the game is to get other people out. People who tell on themselves admire the shock factor more than the method to win the game. And I'm just like, that's weird. You didn't have to tell us that about yourself. You didn't have to tell us that you do weird stuff, but you decided to share this with us rather than just winning the game. That's weird. Weird flex, but okay. So he says to everybody, has anyone ever had sex with 2 members of the same family, like a cousin and a cousin, or a mother and a daughter? Or I'm like, what the fuck? And everybody's like, no. He says, well, I have. And he gets himself out of the game. Okay. Beyond the game, it's like, I am disgusted. You really sat here and told us that the mom and daughter knew. You wanted to further explain the situation. And yeah, he told on himself. I actually watched the after show. He talked about this a little bit more. In the after show, he said that basically his cousin was friends with the girl. And then he met the mom. Everyone said that the mom liked to act like she was young. So he took it as a challenge. He met the mom and he told the mom, "You're very beautiful." And when he did, she booked a hotel room the same night. When she booked a hotel room, she said that she was going to teach him sex ed classes. So he did the do with the mama. Shortly after he got with the mama, he went back to his cousin's house and the daughter was there. And the daughter wanted to have sex with Olajuwon too. So he had sex with both of them. I think he said it was like a month later, but it was separate. So first with the mom, next with the daughter. So then after that, he said that his not his mom. Next, he said that the girl's mom called him and asked for a ride because she didn't drive. So he went to go pick her up from the train station, not knowing that the daughter was going to be there. So he ends up picking up the mother and the daughter. They're in the car. He was trying to make conversation. It was awkward after a little while. And once they got out of the car, both the mother and the daughter patted him on the back and they said, "You passed the class." And they all were laughing. Y'all, Katina, girl, you have a lot of patience and understanding. I think Olajuwon is writing off a lot of this damn clownery by trying to put it on Isaac. But it's very much clear that Isaac is still there because who would want to flex with that type of information? I'm disgusted. Okay. So the last thing that they talk about on the boat is if your spouse offered a threesome to you, would you take it? And of course, he's the one to let everybody know, like, yeah, I want to do it. So embarrassing. Okay. And Katina clearly was embarrassed, but she had to tell everyone, this is the old him. This is the old you. And yeah, that definitely would have prolonged, the whole sex conversation. Definitely would have prolonged it. Now that I know you out here dating with, having sex with mamas and daughters. Hide your mothers, hide your daughters. He getting everybody out here. He is, okay? So now, y'all, we are going to get into part 2 of the couples, which should go faster since we've got through most of the drama, but we have 269 people in the room. So y'all do me a favor, like the video and subscribe so we can finish talking about the episode. All right, I hope y'all had a chance to like the video. Go ahead and share it if you like our conversation. On Sundays, I come and I talk to y'all, and we have brunch at Necey's, and we talk about Ready to Love and sometimes Ladies Who List. Also tonight, quick promo, Ooh Ladies First panel on Jay Lee's Corner channel tonight at 8:30 p.m. Central Standard Time, 9:30 Eastern Standard Time, and we're going to have a whole conversation about this and a lot more things, okay? So make sure y'all are connected, Instagram, Twitter, all that good stuff. Subscribe and tune in, and I'll see y'all tonight. But let's keep going with this conversation. So let's get into part 2 of Jasmina and Michael. So they have breakfast, okay? This is right after the boat situation. They were on the boat that morning, and that's whenever Michael told everyone, no, we haven't had sex yet because it's only been 3 days. Pause. And then Jasmina says, well, I'm the type of person that has to have an emotional connection. To me, number one, she didn't cut him off and they played it back. Number 2, it was off-putting because she was very much like, ain't no emotional connection here to even have sex on the table. She didn't have to do it like that in front of everybody. So I think that Michael was more so disappointed at the way that she answered it. And he probably sensed her off-putting energy, as I call it. And he was embarrassed. You didn't get cut off, but some way Michael has convinced himself that she cut him off because you could tell by the way she answered the question, she was very much in disagreement that sex was even on the table. The way Michael answered the question was kind of like, yeah, I would like to have sex with her, but it's only been 3 days. He was hoping that she would kind of be like, yeah, it's only been 3 days, like with time. But she was very much like, no emotional connection here. So that's what they get into a disagreement about. This isn't caught on camera, but Jasmina comes to her confessional and she tells us that Michael was getting real disrespectful. She says his tone was disrespectful. He was loud talking to her and telling her that she needed to apologize for what he did. And I wish we saw this on TV. We know that Jasmina has had quite a childhood. Her mother wasn't in her life. Her dad signed over his parental rights to his then wife at the time. They ended up getting divorced. He moved to a whole nother country. And I just want to know, like, was he doing a lot, or are you sensitive to vocal conversations? It just depends. A lot of people's upbringing, makes a difference in their adulthood. It kind of reminds me of like Meredith Marks. Meredith Marks from Real Housewives of Salt Lake City, she grew up in an environment where her parents were constantly arguing. So the minute somebody's voice goes from here to turns up, upset, she's like, I'm no longer engaging. And that's what Jasmina gives me. Jasmina gives me, I am no longer engaging. So I don't know. Either way it goes, they end up going to dinner and they're having a conversation. Jasmina's looking good with her red lipstick on, and she's letting him know, like, honestly, the way I feel is that you didn't talk to me respectfully. I expect my husband to be respectful. And he says, yep, that's something that I need to work on. This is something that my sisters have told me about. And I'm just like, okay, cool. Michael has an issue that Jasmina is saying, I'm sorry you felt this way versus apologizing for cutting him off. This is where I have to give Jasmina a little bit of credit. She didn't cut him off. And I typically hate whenever people do the, I'm sorry you feel this way, but this is the acceptable scenario for it. The acceptable scenario is when you know good and well you didn't do anything wrong. So I started to think, maybe Michael is doing that thing. Maybe he is. But what I have to say is it's a good mix of negativity on both sides. And Jasmina thinks that she has Michael figured out, where I feel like Michael is handling Jasmina with a little bit more grace. Just a little bit. Jasmina is, she's giving, I'm pretty much done with this Negro right here. So going forward, they kind of go back and forth over what's an acceptable apology. And just to dead things, Michael says, going forward, he'll just accept her apology, however. And let me see, stay tuned. They say now it's acceptable to give a BS apology. I don't think it was a BS apology. The reason being is because I said, if there was ever a time for her to apologize this way, it was this time. Because she didn't cut him off. She didn't cut him off. And I don't think that Michael was fully able to logically process that moment on the boat and say what actually happened. He didn't. He just felt bad. So he had to place his negative feelings or feelings of embarrassment or rejection on an actual scenario because he felt some type of way. So he had to say, instead of saying, I felt rejected, whenever you said, oh, I need an emotional connection, he ended up saying, you cut me off. So I don't think that an apology was necessary in this situation. So anyway, he said going forward, he'll accept her apology. However, I have to say, Michael, I'm glad that you decided to compromise because Jasmina would never. But the thing that I want Michael to watch out for, yes, she didn't owe him an apology for that. She didn't. The thing that I want Michael to watch out for is in the future, when situations are different, there's going to be a moment when Jasmina is 100% wrong. And based on her energy, I feel like once we get to that moment and she is 100% wrong, she still won't want to apologize. She still won't want to apologize. Yes, she wasn't budging at all. I don't think she'll want to apologize even when she's wrong. So, Michael, be careful of accepting her apology, however, okay? Because sometimes she actually needs to apologize, right? So, anyway, she starts laughing because it was almost like, oh, you doing me a favor by accepting my apology? Okay, cool. And she never communicates what her actual issue is. Your actual issue was that he was being disrespectful. That's what you want an apology for, but you didn't want to communicate that. So he ends up saying, I apologize for my aggressiveness. And she accepts the apology, but more so on the basis of like, we'll see. Well, let's let your actions match your words. I saw a comment and when Tay talks, she said, but he followed with, I'll address it in the moment. He did. And I feel like that is what made it worse. When he said, there's no way to prove it, so I'll address it in the moment. And by Michael saying that, kind of felt like, I know I was right. So next time I have to catch you in the act. And then that way we won't go back and forth about this. So both of them are negative. Okay. I just feel like Jasmina already had prematurely negative thoughts about Michael, but she's trying to project it on him. He's just so negative. Like the both of y'all are. Honestly, the both of y'all are. So let's move on to part 2 of Noi and Steve. They finally have a conversation about the love thing. And he explains to her again, like, I know it was awkward for me to just tell you, okay, but I want to honor myself and give myself time to really process and figure out who we are before we just say we love each other. I'm like, okay, Steve, great job. Okay. I have to call you Steve on that one instead of calling you unemployment, because I think you did a great job with that one. So next they talk about the whole cheating situation. And I'm like, Noi, why are you so pressed on this man cheating if you put a finger down too? Come to find out, they both cheated very early on in their dating lives. They both say they were like 18 or 19. And ever since they figured out like how much hurt they could put a person through, they've never cheated again. So they kind of laugh it off. And that's that. Then we see them two in the pool, and y'all know when you be in the pool and you be wrapping your legs around people, that water and the floatingness kind of just make you go, you kind of get that motion in the ocean. That's what they were doing in the pool. So I wouldn't be surprised if Noi and Steve actually had sex like tonight, okay? Or the night that this was filmed at least. So we'll see next episode with them. Now we can talk about Katina and Olajuwon. So Katina and Olajuwon, they go to dinner. And when they do, Katina is running back information with Lindsey's troublesome ass, telling him, Lindsey was trying to play victim. And I'm glad that Olajuwon and her were on the same page about the situation. Even more so glad that this was Katina's fight to have, because what I don't like is, even though Olajuwon had every right to speak up against Lindsey, I always feel like if a woman is the threat, let your wife handle that. And initially, I felt like Olajuwon was taking that on as his fight. And once we got to this episode, we see that he kind of scales back and allows Katina to handle that. And he notices it as well. And the way that she rides for him, she really does like him, even though he's a clown. So I'm like, okay, good, Katina. So now they start talking about him showing his ass on the boat. Okay, metaphorically. Showing his ass, showing his red clown nose, telling everybody that he slept with mother and daughter. And Katina has a conversation with him about it at the dinner. She says that she wasn't bothered by that conversation of having a threesome, but let's be real, Katina. You were bothered by it, and you should be. That's probably something that you didn't want him to say out loud. So Olajuwon kind of just blames everything on the old Isaac, and he doesn't want to further discuss the things that he did in his past. And I feel like Isaac is not that long ago. Isaac was literally pre-ring 4 days ago, I feel like. Isaac was the dude on the bachelor party dancing on stage with the stripper with his shirt off. Isaac was the dude at his wedding with your whole V showing. You was looking like the hired stripper for the reception. Isaac is not that long ago. I'm tired of you putting stuff off on Isaac, and I think that he needs to be addressed because he's not gone. You're still Isaac. So he's okay. This is the other thing. They didn't talk about this in detail, but this is the other thing where I was like, this is weird. Olajuwon tells Katina that they're vibing. He's really feeling her. He's professing his love to her. And he says, I even deleted my Instagram for you. That's just weird to me. That shit is weird to me. You're not going to tell me to get off social media. Delete Instagram for what? And Katina, she was okay with that. Katina was like, so what I want to know is, what off-camera conversation did y'all have about Instagram? Was Isaac doing the full on Instagram? You were uncomfortable with him having an Instagram? I mean, relationships that have rules, like you can't have an Instagram, you can't like this picture, you can't. That to me is very weird, because you can never try to control someone. When you try to make somebody live within like certain rules and regulations, like no, they're going to break away eventually. He's going to end up doing something that is going to be tempting. Okay, like I know I'm not supposed to have an Instagram, but I got this Finsta right here where I can go like all the big booty models on Instagram. So I'm just like, girl, yes, Seashell, he temporarily deactivated his Instagram. He didn't delete that. But what I want to know is, why was Katina okay with that? It felt to me like they had a conversation about it and she probably wanted him to delete it. Okay. And if you didn't, I definitely would have been like, you didn't have to do that for me, because what I don't want you to do is turn around and tell me to delete my Instagram because I had you delete yours. And what I don't want you to do is end up making one of them corny ass couples pages at Katina and Olajuwon. We share an Instagram. Okay. You DM him, you DM the both of us. No. Okay. As corny as those his queen, her king t-shirts. No, ma'am. No, ma'am. So anyway, once they move on from that, they go to the bedroom. He's laying out roses on the bed with her initials of her new last name, and she's crying. She is definitely falling in love with him, because she says that she's never had someone do anything that romantic for her. And this is where I kind of feel like he's different when he's with her. But I'm wondering if this is temporary. Reason being is because I told y'all he has an extensive past of being a fuckboy from what he's telling us. And I feel like he's one of those fuckboys that only moved and operated that way because he was insecure, because he didn't want to be hurt. So now that you're with this girl, you're like gushing all these years of fuckboyness and tucked away love on her. And I feel like it's going to blow up eventually. And it will. Give it about another 3 episodes, okay? So let's move on to part 2 of S and Chris. So we see them. The next activity that they have planned to do together is scuba diving. Alyssa refuses to go scuba diving. I'm like, you were just in the water with him wakeboarding, but now you're saying it's different. Now you're acting like he's going to do something to you scuba diving with all the fish to witness. Like, girl, bye. So she says that she's going to watch him do it. She sees him take his shirt off and she's like, he's not my type physically. And I think that's okay to say. Yeah. So next, while Chris is doing the scuba diving by himself, I felt bad for that man. And I really want him to pay her ass dust. I really want you to stop being so patient and kind with this lady. I really would like a season of watching Chris go on Tinder dates for the next 8 weeks. I really would love a season of Chris staying in this rent-free apartment and bringing different women over to the house and dating them until you get a divorce at the end of the 8 weeks. So Alyssa's talking to the cameraman and she's like, yeah, I just didn't want to do it. I don't feel comfortable. I was talking to my mom last night and my mom was just like, Alyssa, you don't want to make people look at you the wrong way. Yeah, you should have listened to your damn mama, because you look like an asshole. And the internet is going to light your ass up respectfully and disrespectfully. Okay, so you should have listened to your mama. But yeah, that's what she says. The other thing that I absolutely hated, and this is the part where I got pissed off and I was like, this TV show is catering to her way too much. When she starts crying, acting like the victim, and when Chris gets ready to walk over to her, she says, can you tell him not to come over here? And they go up to him and tell him not to come over there. I'm like, oh, girl, you are in a public place. You are using these Married at First Sight cameramen as security. You're using them to make Chris feel like he's some sort of threat to you when he's simply just doing what he has been tasked with, which is getting to know you. I was pissed when the cameraman went up to him and said, don't come over there. Oh my gosh, that made me so mad. Yes, Lily. Yes, that's bullying. That was bullying, 100%. And the show allowed her to do it because she's a Karen. It's different than seeing an asshole that's like a Brad or a Chris or a Michael or an Eric or somebody like that. Okay? They're allowing her to do it because, girl, good effing bye. Okay, I think the last couple who we have to talk about part 2 with, and I saved them for last, has to be the clown of the week, which is Lindsey and Mark. Okay, I am going to do another brief pause, another brief 10-second chance for those of you who added yourselves to the room right before we get into the end of this review, for you to like and subscribe. Because we've been talking for, this one's been pretty long, y'all. This has been an hour and 15 minutes. This has been pretty long. Y'all want to talk to me for over an hour? Okay, after watching the TV show for 2 hours, I appreciate it. I feel called out. Brad. This is too funny. Oh my gosh, I love when that happens. Okay, Brad, you better stand up for the not stereotypical Brads. Okay. Oh my gosh, that is so on time. So now, y'all, let's get into Lindsey and Mark. We definitely, this episode, see discrepancies between the way she feels about him and the way he feels about her. But Lindsey has that strong ass personality type to where people are afraid to ruffle her feathers just because she's so much. Okay. People are afraid to tell her how they really feel. And Mark has kind of just, put himself in a bad situation because, like her friend said, you seem so nice, but you have to make sure that you don't just allow her to get what she wants. You got to be real with her. And he's failed to do that, even though it's only been 3 days. Okay. We'll see Lindsey stir shit up. Mark will apologize when she's not around. Like, I know this girl is doing a damn fool, but I'm trying to be sensitive with her. And it hasn't worked in your favor. Okay. Step one, Mark, let's talk about you. You shouldn't have had sex with this lady. You shouldn't have had sex with your wife. She's alive. Okay. And I knew you shouldn't have had sex with her on the night of the wedding because that woman had drank too much damn liquor for anybody to feel comfortable around her wild ass. She's already so much sober. So meeting her and having her drink, ain't no way I would have laid with that lady. Okay. And maybe you didn't have sex with her on the wedding night, but she's just too much. And I think you could have smelled it from a mile away, Mark. You really could have. So they end up going to a romantic dinner that Mark has planned for them. And he explains to her that, she's had 2 situations of conflict that's made it hard for him to get to know her. And immediately she starts getting upset, y'all. And I'm laughing because when she started getting upset, her upper lip area started getting long. She started talking like this and her lips started shaking and she was boiling up. And he said to her, I just want to take things slower. I feel like I can't breathe. When he said, I feel like I can't breathe, I was like, damn, I feel you on that because she gives me anxiety watching her ass on TV. So he wants to go slower. And she says, okay, well, don't marry a stranger. And he said, well, what I'm asking for is just for us to go slow and steady and for it to flow organically. You shouldn't have had sex with her. And she says that. So as soon as he says, let's slow down, she pulls her guns out and she lights his ass up. She says, bet, you want to go slower? She says, there's no in between for me. You want to go slower? How about you stop taking a shit with the door open? How about you stop farting in front of me? I was like, when she lit him up, y'all, I laughed my ass off. The reason why I laughed my ass off is because she wasn't lying. When she said that this man took shits with the door open in front of her. When she said that this man was farting out in the open, Mark just looked at her and was like, Mark just looked at her and was just like, okay. Okay. Mark could not say that she was lying about that. You could tell that he was so embarrassed. And she said that I feel like I was just matching your energy. And I bet she did. I bet he tried to run the same race. He tried to run the same race that she was running. And eventually he felt like it was too much. Oh my gosh. He was shocked. And that she lit his ass up on camera, y'all. That was hilarious. She said, stop taking shits with the door open. I'm sorry, but I've never seen anybody get sacrificed like that on TV and sit in so much embarrassment. I was like, wow, yes, yes. I could definitely see him being that loose with her because he's like, well, shit, she's this comfortable. I'm about to be comfortable. But now you want to slow it down. He wasn't ready. He wasn't ready at all. He did not see this coming. Yes, she took his damn edges off. Okay, y'all see in this picture. Oh my gosh. Hey, J-Dub. Oh my gosh, that was hilarious. So she lit his ass up. Okay, I've never seen nobody lit up like that on TV. Lindsey, both of y'all have points about each other. He was probably going the same the same speed as you were going. Oh, that was funny. Thank you so much. But y'all, they end up going to the room and she's like, okay, fine. You want to start over? We're going to start all the way over. My name is Lindsey George. Da, 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 da. And it doesn't seem like they're going to be in a good spot. Lindsey is very much my way or the highway. And that goes back to her dad and her brother babying her ass. And I told y'all about that. Oh my gosh. I wish I got a screenshot of his eyes. His face was even turned to the side. That man said, like, you're really going to tell everybody on national TV that I have been taking shits with the door open. Oh my gosh. That girl, Lindsey, is wild, okay? But y'all, that's literally all I have for this episode. That's all I have for this episode. We've been on here for a long ass time. So I hope y'all who are watching it on replay, I hope y'all had a good time. I hope y'all are listening to this at work or anywhere else. I hope you're listening to this over the dinner table. Y'all just know we friends here, okay? Y'all can meet me back tonight if y'all want to have more conversation about other reality TV shows. I'll be on Jay Lee's Corners channel with the rest of the Ooh Ladies First panel to talk about TV. And then I always have my brunch at Necey's, okay? So on Sunday, look out for the notification. Meet me back here, and we are going to talk about Ready to Love, and we'll probably talk about Ladies Who List as well, okay? And for those of you who like real reviews about documentaries, go check out my Kendrick Johnson documentary. I'm thinking about doing that maybe like once a week, maybe. We can start reviewing documentaries. So y'all go ahead, like, comment, subscribe. I had a good time with y'all. Follow me on Instagram and Twitter. And I will see y'all in the next video. All right. Bye, y'all.